everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Pat. Today I wanted to give a brief lesson on what I think is one of the most important Eddie Van Halen licks out of everything he's played. I'm talking about what you hear on Eruption, Somebody Get Me a Doctor, I'm the One, and at the end I'll show you how he modifies it for something like Girl Gone Bad. I'm talking about this, of course. Okay, so let's just get right into it. It's a 5-note phrase. The first 3 notes are all on the 2nd string, so just follow along with me. The first note is our ring finger on the 8th fret of the 2nd string. Then we're going to pull off to the 1st finger on the 5th fret of the 2nd string, and then we're going to pull off that to the open 2nd string. And that's just one pick at the beginning for all 3 of those. Okay? The next note, this is where it gets a little tricky because a lot of people think you have to pick this note. That's not true though. You have to hammer on your ring finger to the 8th fret of the 3rd string. And again, it's one pick so far for all 4 of those notes. So these 3, and then the hammer on right there. And the last note is going to be an upstroke on the open 1st string. So once again, that's 5 notes. Okay? And when I teach this to people, the thing I notice the most is that even when they don't pick the note that they hammer on, their right hand still wants to follow it because all the years of you follow each hand, you know, when you want to play something. So you're tempted to follow it up, but what you have to do is the second you pick that first note, you have to wait until the last note. That's how you get it nice and smooth so you can really crank up the tempo. So with that said, we got to talk about the most important part of this. This is how it rhythmically sounds. Not enough people do this, so this is why I made this video mostly. I'm going to put my dinky little metronome on at 80 BPM. I want you to try to follow along with me. This is how the first note lines up as the beat progresses. So check this out. Bop, 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 bop. So if you notice, it's this little pattern that's on the beat, off the beat, on the beat, off the beat. So it just kind of repeats like that. And like I said, that's the first note of the phrase. So what you can practice is playing bop, 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 to kind of get used to how it pushes and pulls against the pulse. I did the spelling for this video. It's a 16th note syncopation. So it's 1E and a 2 is the first one, okay? That's when the note is on the beat. When it's off of the beat, I believe it's and a 3E and, or and a 1E and. And when you combine the 2, it's on, off, on, off. And if you're me, you just kind of want to vocalize the general sound of it. So like I play jazz, so I do the syllables and stuff. So that to me is better because it really gets the point of the phrase across. Remember to leave that right hand waiting. So that was at 80. I'm going to turn it up now to 120. I want to keep this a short video, so we'll get fast pretty quick. So let's jump it up to 168. Now let's go all the way up to 208. Okay, now before I go further, I think the reason why people thought you needed to pick that note is because of all the times Eddie might be palm muting as he does that hammer on, so you get tricked into thinking it's a pick because if you slow it down, you're still hearing like the plucking or the popping of the finger hitting the string, so you can get confused and think that's picking. Now, here's where it gets interesting. 2 things. One is that Eddie doesn't actually go bop, 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 bop for most of them. It's actually halftime, and it's not 16th notes, it's I think 32nd notes, I guess, but I'm really only concerned about how that first note lines up. Bop, 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 bop. So, I'll turn down a little bit. That was 92. I'm going to go all the way to 120. 120 is about where I max out on this, so let's see if I can do it. That sounds pretty good. So now here's the other thing too. So when Eddie plays this, he almost never plays that phrase directly on beat one. He plays a bend on like the end of one, I think. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then he'll play the syncopation. So I'm gonna vocalize how those notes sound. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Ba, 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 da, da. That last thing, not important for this particular lesson, but on the last beat 4, 1, 2, 3. If you're in Somebody Get Me a Doctor, which actually, sorry, that means we're no longer in A, we bump up to B. So just move everything 2 frets, keep the open strings, same phrase. But if I vocalize that phrase, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So again, that bend, I guess and a 1, but then the pattern of the note, the first note of the phrase, it jumps in at any point in the bar or in the pulse and just kind of picks up from there. So ba, 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 da, da, for the last part, which again, not important. I want you to get the main phrase. Okay? So let's slow it down a little bit. Let me show you what he does for songs like Girl Gone Bad. I don't have enough frets for this. Eddie would start on the 14th fret. I don't have all of that, so I'm going to do it on the 12th fret. I'll just shut this off for a second. So I want you to do 12 with the first on the second string, all on the second string so far. 12 with the first, 15 with the middle, and I believe 18 with the pinky. I'm just doing this 3-fret spread. Now, this is how it works. On the original, you pick the 1, and you pull off, and you pull off to the open. But on this one, you pick, you pull off to the middle, and then you pull off to the first instead of the open string. So this first string is substituting, or this first finger, sorry, is substituting these 2 open strings for me on the 12th fret. And the pinky is going to be the one doing the hammer-on the 3rd string. So if I turn this metronome back on, we've got... Let's see if I can do that at 120. Barely. So again, the most important thing, once you get the notes down and you get the picking down and it's smooth enough, the thing you really got to focus on is how it rhythmically moves through the pulse, because I think that's why a lot of people have trouble playing Van Halen. It's not that they can't get the notes down, is that they don't actually hear how precise and pristine his rhythmic phrasing is. So I hope that made any sense. Once again, my name is Pat, and I'll see you next time.